Okay, awesome. Bryce and Sarah Ruth had a father. Early the next morning, when the light was gray and uncertain, Sarah Ruth was sitting up in bed, coughing, and the father came home. He picked Edward up by one of his ears and said, "I ain't never." "It's a baby doll," said Bryce. "Don't look like no baby doll to me." Edward, hanging by one ear, was frightened. This, he was certain, was the man who crushed the head of the china dolls. "Jangles," said Sarah Ruth between coughs. She held out her arms. "He's hers," said Bryce. "He belongs to her." The father dropped Edward on the bed, and Bryce picked up the rabbit and handed him to Sarah Ruth. "It don't matter anyway," said the father. "It don't make no difference, none of it." "It does matter," said Bryce. "Don't you sass me," said the father. He raised his hand and slapped Bryce across the mouth, and then he turned and left the house. "You ain't got to worry about him," said Bryce to Edward. "He ain't nothing but a bully. And besides, he don't hardly come home." Fortunately, the father did not come back that day. Bryce went out to work, and Sarah Ruth spent the day in bed, holding Edward in her lap and playing with a box filled with buttons. "Pretty," she said to Edward as she lined up the buttons on the bed and arranged them into different patterns. Sometimes, when a coughing fit was particularly bad, she squeezed Edward so tight he was afraid he would crack in two. Also, in between coughing fits, she took to sucking on one or the other of Edward's ears. Normally, Edward would have found intrusive, clingy behavior of this sort of very annoying, but there was something about Sarah Ruth. He wanted to take care of her. He wanted to protect her. He wanted to do more for her. At the end of the day, Bryce returned with a biscuit for Sarah Ruth and a ball of twine for Edward. Sarah Ruth held the biscuit in both hands and took small, tentative bites. "You eat that all up, honey. Let me hold Jangles," said Bryce. "Him and me got a surprise for you." Bryce took Edward off in a corner of the room, and with a pocket knife, he cut off lengths of twine and tied them to Edward's arms and feet, and then tied the twine to sticks of wood. "See, all day I've been thinking about it," Bryce said. "What we're going to do is make you dance. Sarah Ruth loves dancing. Mama used to hold on to her and dance around the room." "You eating that biscuit?" Bryce called out to Sarah Ruth. "Uh-huh," said Sarah Ruth. "You hold on, honey. We got a surprise for you." Bryce stood up. "Close your eyes," he told her. He took Edward over to the bed and said, "Okay, you can open them now." Sarah Ruth opened her eyes. "Dance, Jangles," said Bryce. And then, moving the strings with the sticks in his one hand, Bryce made Edward dance and drop and sway. And the whole while, at the same time, with his other hand, he held on to the harmonica and played a bright and lively tune. Sarah Ruth laughed. She laughed while she started to cough, and then Bryce laid Edward down and took Sarah Ruth in his lap and rocked her and rubbed her back. "You want some fresh air?" he asked her. "Let's get you out of this nasty old air, huh?" Bryce carried his sister outside. He left Edward lying on the bed, and the rabbit staring up at the smoke-stained ceiling. Thought again about having wings. If he had had them, he thought, he would fly high above the world to where air was clear and sweet, and he would take Sarah Ruth with him. He would carry her in his arms, surely so high above the world that she would be able to breathe without coughing. After a minute, Bryce came back inside, still carrying Sarah Ruth. "She wants you too," he said. "Jangles," said Sarah Ruth. She held out her arms. So Bryce held Sarah Ruth, and Sarah Ruth held Edward, and the three of them stood outside. Bryce said, "You gotta look for falling stars. They are the ones with the magic." They were quiet for quite a long time, all three of them looking at the sky. Sarah Ruth stopped coughing. Edward thought that maybe she had fallen asleep. "There," she said, and she pointed to a star streaking through the night sky. "Make a wish, honey," Bryce said, his voice high and tight. "That's your star. You make a wish for anything you want." And even though it was Sarah Ruth's star, Edward wished on it too. That is chapter 18. Friends, you may unmute and say your goodbyes.
Hi, guys.
And we shall see you next week. Hi. All right.
Bye.
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 Bye, friends. We will see you later. We're going to see all of your pieces, especially
How do we
those of you
leave?
that haven't seen them.
Bye.
Okay. Ben, bye. Bye.
Bye, Ben. Bye, Ben.
Ethan,
What?
Josh tried to call you doing this.
I know.
He thought he would be able to.
Ben, tackle your brother.
He ran away.
Oof.
You don't see him in my screen, boy.
There's 4 Ethans.
What?
There's 4 Ethans.
There is?
Yeah.
Ethan?
What?
Did you like the group that I made?
The AFC one?
Yeah, now we can bully Josh together. Oh, hi, Dayton. Didn't know you were still here. Dayton? Dayton, answer me.
I have 10 minutes.
To do what?
Whatever I want on this.
Bye, Ben.
Is she done?
Who said that?
Bye, Ben.
Who said
Me.
that? Oh,
Dayton.
Dayton, you're still here?
Yeah.
Me and Ethan.
Bye.
Hi.
Bye.
Throw your snowball this way. You'll throw it at Dayton.
Where's Dayton?
Right there.
Did I hit him?
Yeah.
Or did I go the wrong way?
No, you hit him.
I threw it that way.
Oh, well, then you missed. He's that way.
Dang it! Dude, you know what's bad?
Guys, Dayton.
Dude, I threw it, so my hand went down there, so this is how I have to get it.
Guys, Dayton's close.
Oh crap, I'm stuck. Ethan, I'm stuck. Ethan, I'm really stuck. Can you like help me? Didn't get the snowball.
Who's making that loud noise in your house?
Does it sound annoying? Does it sound annoying?
Yeah.
Oh, that's my sister trying to play the saxophone.
Mm.
Don't tell her I said that. Hi, Ethan.
Hi.
You want to see what I'm gonna put on my screen? If
I'm
this
touching
works?
your hair.
What?
I'm touching your hair.
Hey, stop! I'll touch your hair. I'm gonna lift your hair. You can't lift my hair. Okay, Ethan. Hopefully this works, okay? Okay, Ethan.
Okay.
Hopefully this works. I'm gonna put you over here. Oops. Don't worry, Ethan. Hi.
Hi.
Ready? I'm gonna try and make you see my screen, but first, Here we go. Wait. I need to. You see it, Ethan?
Yeah.
Okay, ready, Ethan? Here we go. I'm gonna call Josh. That was fun.
What do you say?
Nothing. I called him and then hung up before he could even answer. And now he's screaming. You can still see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm gonna get a new one on. You see it, right?
No.
You don't see it?
No.
Sure?
I don't see it.
Okay, I'm gonna try this again. There, now you hear it? Now you see it?
Yeah.
Good. Watch this, ready? Hi, Ethan. Okay, here, watch. Watch what I can do. It's super cool.
What?
No, not that one. This one. Ready? Sign out.